Case study based learning is a powerful tool in your learning journey, which will have a significant impact on your strategic thinking capability and your strategic decision making capability. With CIM, we've been involved in over 15 years of case study based learning, and the results have been phenomenal in our graduates. Now, if you look at the history of case study based learning, it might even go back to the 1900s. Of course, was more popularized by some of the work done by some of the Ivy League universities like Harvard. And you would have also heard the term of problem based learning, which has similarities to case study based learning. Now, a case study could be a short, sharp piece of information, or it could even be a mix of complex documents that has a wider degree of information about a business problem. Now, those short, sharp type of case studies you will find in your level 4, which is your certificate level, in your applied marketing examination. A very interesting case studies, which gets you to think about business issues, marketing issues from multiple angles. Whereas your global marketing decisions case study, the ultimate case study at level 7, would give you a complex context of a global company with multi-stakeholder issues for you to think through how to drive that company's profitability and its growth. Either which way, big or small, a case study gets you to go deeper into hidden issues that possibly won't be visible if you look at it from a singular dimension. So, unraveling a case study is an exciting experience. And sometimes, if you use the wrong tools and you go through a wrong process, you might find it more or less becoming a bigger mess, which might even strangle you and strangle the company that you're trying to solve the problem itself. So, the right tools, techniques, and right facilitation by someone who's got experience in case study based learning is going to be a very valuable advantage for you in that process. The skills that you build will predominantly anchor on analytical capability and decision making capability. Your ability to identify a business problem sharply, finding solutions, your overall ability to generate ideas. How do you organize these thoughts? How do you synthesize them? How do you build hypotheses? How do you identify patterns? All of these are CEO level, entrepreneurial level skill sets that a case study based learning will sharpen in you as a key component of your competency mix. So here's an example of a short case study that you would find in level 4. Now, what happens in level 4 is the examiner will throw short case studies from multiple business contexts. This is a heritage beer brewery, family business that goes and public quotes the company. So it changes the ownership structure, and from a traditional segment focus to own operated pubs, how the market moves into supermarkets where canned beer is sold for household consumption, all the way to gastropubs. Very interesting. And in a very short time for you to read this through, analyze it, and take some decisions is going to make you a sharper in real life. Similarly, if you look at on the same assessment, the examiner tested the students with a very small scale gym which had a challenge of balancing a customer segment decision of pensioners, older, versus a younger working class group of customers. So pretty interesting how the diversity of case studies can help your business strategy, marketing brain work from multiple angles. All the way to a gaming company, another case study that appeared in 2017, to a pharmaceutical company who has to deal with doctors and their challenging behaviors in prescribing drugs, all the way to pharmacies, to hospitals that are government or to private sector, and from over the counter to prescribed drugs. It's a very complex industry. If you look at the global marketing case study, which is phenomenal in the content it provides you and the context it sets. The last case study was on Walmart. The year before, the marketing teams worked on HSBC all through pandemic times. Gillette having challenges from men's grooming, which has gone to a total different level with more casual dressing, work from home, etc. And these case studies, which are global in nature, complex in stakeholder, gets a graduate to look at a world in spite of whether they are working in a small company or large company in real world, or they're probably in a developing country or a developed market. You get a global outlook to how business works. And today, that the pandemic that we are up against has taught us whoever you are global. This prepares you to be able to face the realities of the world. So, as you could see, 30 to 40 pages of information, both qualitative and quantitative, from different dimensions of that company, competition, market, stakeholders, will set up a perfect CEO challenge in the form of a case study. So the brief will direct the graduates towards strategic thinking, fundamentally looking at how do you drive growth and profitability of a company, which is what it is when you run a business. But then underneath the iceberg of that performance are culture, structure, the systems of the company, and all the way to figuring out resources, competencies, constraints, and that makes you absolute strategic thinker. So the analytical work that takes about a month in this case is converted into a strategic audit. Generally, it takes about 6 pages to do this, and that type of work is exactly what you would do as a consultant. And in real world, you will have this skill set of doing a strategic audit before you subscribe to some ideas to grow the company or prescribe certain recommendations. This is a good practice that's going to help you continue the work you do in real world. And that analysis is used in taking some absolute strategic decisions to grow and improve profitability of a company in your case study. So the preparatory work in that comes in your form of assignment that you're going to write a report. Example, in this case, understanding some of the strategic uncertainties in the world right now, in the markets you deal with, which is relevant for every company. But students do need to take a deep view on understanding uncertainty versus ambiguity, because sometimes you are not really clear how to pin uncertainty to how it impacts your company. If you look at a VUCA analogy, the volatility, uncertainty, the complexity, they are all different factors that makes business challenging, but you have to really pin it in the right place. The resources and competencies of a company is what gives its competitive advantage. And to really ask those brutal questions requires a CEO to go and take a deep dig inside the organization and what's outside. Your resources of the past might not be resources that can give you a competitive advantage today. We've all heard about Kodak. We've all heard about what happened with Nokia, the challenges companies like Nike faces today, McDonald's, you name it. And then our new markets have got emerging opportunities where companies like Airbnb was thriving on some of them, and suddenly those markets disappear. So the resources competency mix are very dynamic. Finally, it leads to strategic options, which is where your CEO capability has to come in to figure out what's suitable, what's feasible, and what's acceptable for your company. And these are no easy options to finally select from the best alternates available for you. And in this case, obviously, when you try to execute some of these options, constraints hold you back. Sometimes your culture holds you back. We almost know what option would be the ideal, but when you try to execute it, constraints hold you back, sometimes as a country, as a company. So this is a great example of the power of case study based learning, which is an experience when you come to Daffodil, because this is our area of strength, because the facilitators involved bring in real life experience of business as well as case study based learning. And finally, you take a complex problem and you analyze it from multi dimensions using your strategic capabilities, and you need to take a couple of sound decisions which will define the destiny of the institution you are focused on. So we look forward to welcome you to a case study based problem solving approach towards learning.